I feel a video like this should have a proper intro, but I don't know how to do one of those. So, we're just gonna go ahead and dive straight in. If you clicked on this video, you already know what you're getting yourselves into. But since this is on my channel, and it is something new to maybe some people who actually subscribed, I'll go ahead and give a brief explanation of exactly what is going on here. An iceberg chart stems off the phrase tip of the iceberg, usually used to explain something that is surface level when it comes to knowledge. But what an iceberg chart does is it goes through and kind of decodes that. It could be about anything. It could be about a video game, a TV show, a movie, a franchise, or in today's case, a musical artist. This musical artist happens to be Gorillaz. Gorillaz has a vast knowledge of absolute crazy buck wild shit that I absolutely enjoy. They are one of my favorite musical artists, and I've actually gone and seen them live a few times in concert. But that's not really what we're here to discuss. We're here to discuss knowledge stuff. We're here to discuss stuff that maybe people don't know, maybe a lot of the hardcore fans know, and stuff that I, even myself, as somebody who's been listening to them since about elementary school, still am figuring out, which is awesome. So the iceberg chart that you see on your screen was made by icebergchart.com user Rock and Roll Girlfriend, and absolute credit to them for finding all this stuff and organizing it in this way. I will go ahead and leave a link to the original chart in the description. And it has 6 layers. This first video that you are seeing right now is going to cover layers 1 through 3. The other 3 layers will hopefully be done in a part 2 that I can probably get done in a reasonable time. But we'll see about that. Also, if I can actually figure it out and organize my thoughts, I'm also thinking of throwing a few bonus entries towards the end of this video and the next video. But again, we'll see about that. So, obviously, like I said, there's nothing else to really do. You clicked on this, you already know where we're going. Let's get to layer number 1. Feel Good Inc. Feel Good Inc. is the most popular Gorillaz song by far. It was a part of their second studio album, Demon Days, and instantly became a massive success. It has an amazing bass line as well as an amazing drum section, as well as featuring a couple verses from rappers De La Soul. It instantly became the biggest song and shot Gorillaz into the whole public knowledge that they were already getting with something like Clint Eastwood. Speaking of which, Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood is the song that basically started Gorillaz' career, in my opinion. This song also had an amazing music video as well as another amazing rap verse, this time courtesy of Del the Funky Homo Sapien. It also featured fantastic instrumentals, something that the band would become known for, and it was a part of their first album released in 2001 called Gorillaz, self-titled, as I refer to it as throughout the rest of this video. Demon Days. Demon Days, as mentioned, was the second studio album released by Gorillaz in 2005. This one was full of their biggest hits, in my opinion, this time featuring songs like Dirty Harry, Feel Good Inc., and Dare, all immediately becoming some of the most well-known songs from the band. It also featured a few underrated songs, in my opinion, such as Oh Green World and Every Planet We Reach Is Dead. It had a lot more features than the first album, featuring people like De La Soul, as previously mentioned, and Booty Brown, a member of the Far Side. It also included a few uncredited features, something I don't think I see too much nowadays, including MF Doom singing on November Has Come, and Dennis Hopper providing narration through the entirety of Fire Coming Out of the Monkey's Head. Dare. Dare is another single off of Demon Days, as previously mentioned, this time featuring Sean Ryder providing a few verses, and not actually having 2D or Damon Albarn be the main singer, this time having Noodle, the virtual guitarist, being the main singer, though Damon does still provide background vocals. This song also became an instant hit, and while it is not my favorite, it definitely is a favorite among a lot of fans. Rhinestone Eyes. Rhinestone Eyes, unlike all the previously mentioned individual songs, is not a single. It actually just comes straight from the album A Plastic Beach, the third studio release from the band. But it was planned to get a singles release. Hell, it was sent to a few radio stations with the intention of it being a single. but it ended up falling short to Donkomatica, an album non-made song. It still is an amazing song, and definitely one of the biggest highlights that Plastic Beach has to offer on an already stocked album, in my opinion. So that's pretty much what I have to say. Oh, also, it also has a music video that was not finished due to it not being a single. The music video animatic, or the sketches and designs and all of it, was released on the official Gorillaz YouTube channel before later being done by a fan, where it was a full animated music video. Highly suggest checking it out. I will leave the animatic and the highlighted music video all in the description. The Bath. The Bath is the biggest meme that Gorillaz kind of had going in 2017-2018. It stems from the Saturnz Barz music video from the 4th studio album Humans, and is just simply the Murdoch Nichols, the guitar's virtual bassist, going into a bathroom where a pre-made bath sits and getting in it, despite it looking disgusting. Obviously, before he gets in it, he proudly exclaims to the rest of the band that he is going to be getting in said bath with the bath, as he says it. It just became a meme throughout the entire fandom. It's still memed sometimes in certain places, but it's definitely died down and isn't as funny as it once was. Murdoch is a pickle. Murdoch is a pickle is the other big meme that kind of Gorillaz is known for. Simply stemming from the fact that, again, the virtual bassist Murdoch Nichols has green skin and, you know, resembles a pickle to some. This was around the same time that Pickle Rick kind of became an internet hit or an internet meme, so I can see maybe why it blew up, but in retrospect, it isn't as funny as a lot of people thought it was. 2D has black eyes. Sticking with the designs of the virtual band members, this one refers to the virtual singer, 2D, or Stuart Pott, as his real name is. Now, when I say black eyes, I'm not referring to black eyes that you get in a simple fist fight. I'm instead referring to the entirety of both of his eyes being pitch black. No pupils, no iris, no none of that. Just pitch black. Now, in the Gorillaz lore, there's an actual in-universe explanation, which we'll get to in a later video, but all we need to really know now is that he has black eyes, and they were given to him by the lead artist behind Gorillaz and the second mind behind Gorillaz, Jamie Hewlett. The Gorillaz. The Gorillaz simply refers to a simple mispronunciation of the band's name. Instead of it being the Gorillaz with a Z sound and no the at the beginning, many people refer to them simply as the Gorillaz, with the S sound at the end and adding the at the beginning, though neither have actually ever been a part of the Gorillaz' identity. r/Gorillaz. r/Gorillaz is the main meeting hub where a lot of fans of the Gorillaz will go ahead and hang out. It is a subreddit where people are able to share their song opinions, their fan art, their general takes on the band, and all that stuff. It's also where several of the memes, such as Murdoch is a pickle and it's about drugs, obviously, have started up. One in the Chamber. One in the Chamber is what I would call the most infamous Gorillaz fan fiction. It's definitely something, and it's something I don't want to get to in this video real too much. But what I will do is I will leave the video links down for a few of my favorite videos. Reading the story by someone who used to be referred to as Nice Guy McFly, but who has a different name now. But they are still some of my favorite videos, and when I was going through and researching the Iceberg, I was like, man, I remember that, man. Let me go watch those again, just so I can kind of get a refresh. And they still are freaking hilarious today, so definitely worth a watch, even though the story itself is disgusting. But I will let you guys have that little treat to yourself. Cat Mask. Cat Mask refers to the mask that is seen through most of Phase 3 or the Plastic Beach era, worn by Noodle. Now, this mask in universe is used to cover up a scar that she got from the El Mañana incident, another layer entry. But all we really need to know is that this simply talks about the mask. It was also seen through a lot of the marketing for the Plastic Beach album. Blur. Blur was the first band of the lead singer Damon Albarn, who provides all the vocals for most of the Gorillaz tracks sung by 2D. Now, he still actually works with Blur, going back to them while the break between Plastic Beach and Humans happened, and actually being on tour with them right now. And as mentioned, this was his first band before making Gorillaz in 2001 with Jamie Hewlett. It's actually really good music, and if you like some British pop, I would absolutely suggest listening to them. In a Bag. In a Bag refers to the line that is said in Clint Eastwood when 2D refers to where he's got the sunshine. He's got sunshine in a bag. But this also refers to a meme video simply taking Clint Eastwood and replacing every other line with in a bag. It's a simple meme video, and definitely some of those basic surface level meme stuff that we can find. And with that concludes layer number 1. Like I said, it's just pretty much surface level knowledge and a lot of things that Gorillaz fans should hopefully know. But yeah, we get to layer number 2. There was some stuff that I actually needed to look up and have a refresh on, but shouldn't be anything too dark, disturbing yet. We only are on layer number 2. So let's go ahead and get to it. Where My Eel. Where My Eel makes a reference back to a G-Byte, a short released back in Phase 1 that was fully animated, called The Eel, where Russell simply says the line. The short begins with 2D going to try and smack an eel that's in the sink, and saying that he can't catch it, so slippery, before Murdoch walks in and takes the eel and, as he says, melts its face. Russell then walks in as well and asks simply, "Where my eel?" This became a meme in the Gorillaz community a few years back, but obviously, like the other memes that we've mentioned, kind of has died down in the recent years. It's also just kind of a funny way that he gives the line in the most stereotypical way possible, as well as throwing up a simple hand gesture. So go ahead and watch the short if you want a little bit more context. Your Local Meme. Your Local Meme is a YouTube channel that used to post a bunch of Gorillaz content back in the Humans and Now era. Now, since 2019, they really haven't been posting Gorillaz content, with a few Song Machine shorts here and there, but they've kind of shifted focus and haven't posted in 2 years, in fact. But as always, go ahead and watch their videos. They're linked in the description, and many fans of Gorillaz have actually probably seen their videos, as they posted a lot of the Humans compilations involving Murdoch and all the band members in that kind of way. So I'm going to leave their channel in the description below. Go ahead and watch the Gorillaz content if you want, as well as go watch some of their other content if you're on that channel. Always a nice little gesture to do. Ace from Powerpuff Girls. Ace from Powerpuff Girls is exactly who it says. It's referring back to the character Ace that was from the Powerpuff Girls TV show back on Cartoon Network in the early 2000s. Now, what this has to do with Gorillaz is actually kind of big, and not just a simple little joke or jab at him, but he actually became a full-blown member of the band back in Phase 5, or the Now. You could actually first see him in the Humidity music video, before later being seen in the Trance music video, and would later be seen in all the visualizers and most of the promotional material for the album. Now, the in-universe explanation for this actually lies that Murdoch, during the Strobe Light music video from the Humans album, actually was arrested and put in prison, so during that time, the band needed a backup bassist, and Ace was there. It's simple as that. They needed another green-skinned fella, and they found him. Now, the actual explanation has never really been stated, but the creator of Powerpuff Girls and Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett have been collaborating for years now, all the way back to the G-Sides Back album cover, which you can actually see 2D wearing a Mojo Jojo t-shirt, another character from Powerpuff Girls. Hello Kinky. Hello Kinky refers to a brand that's kind of seen throughout the entirety of Gorillaz' history, dating back to another G-Byte that's called Game of Death, where 2D can first be wearing it on his shirt. It would later appear as just some stickers and little background details before making another appearance on a shirt in the Phase 5 music video for Humidity, worn by Noodle. And it's kind of just been a subtle brand throughout the entirety of Gorillaz' catalog. Now, obviously, it's as a reference to Hello Kitty, a famous kind of brand worn by a lot of scene kind of members, but it's nothing more than just a simple parody of the identity and the character. Superfast Jellyfish. Superfast Jellyfish is one of the singles released off Plastic Beach and is actually a real big bop. It actually features De La Soul and Gruff Reyes as the features, and it's fantastic in my opinion. It is such a good track and well worth the deserving of a spot in the singles area. I would highly recommend go ahead and listening to it and appreciating it. And it actually has a few things kind of relating on this layer. One of those is the next layer, Empire Ants. Empire Ants is the next song on the album order that follows Superfast Jellyfish. It is also a fantastic, beautiful song, and as well as another single off of Plastic Beach. This time featuring Little Dragon providing the background vocals, and is a beautiful melodic piece and absolutely worth your listen to. Now, why I bring both of those up and why they say they have a connection like that is because they actually have a transition between the two. So if you were to listen to one and then immediately listen to the other, you'd hear a transition. That's actually an entry later on the on this layer, and I will go ahead and get to that, but we gotta go ahead and continue on right now. MTV Cribs. MTV Cribs was a show that ran on MTV back in the mid 2000s to the early 2010s, simply showing celebrities' homes and where they lived and the lavish luxury lifestyles that they have. And our lovely Gorillaz ended up getting an episode back during 2005. It is a fantastic episode with Murdoch being the star celebrity leading you on a tour of Kong Studios, the band's kind of main hub between Phase 1 and Phase 2, before it was eventually lost during the in-between Phase 2 and Phase 3. It has a bunch of little cool details and features stuff like the other band members doing simple things, as well as the Winnebago, which we will get to on the next layer. Definitely a fun watch, and I would highly suggest go ahead and watching it. I will obviously link it in the description. Day Live Disasters. Day Live Disasters refers to when Shawn Ryder would go onto stage to perform there. He would be drunk, sometimes flat, black out drunk, wasted, shit-faced, whatever you want to say. He was gone, and this all culminated with a performance that was so horrendously bad that most people at the show were kind of disturbed and turned off. Now, there has never been a repercussion per se for Shawn Ryder doing this. He has continued to tour with the band all the way up until the Song Machine tour a few years back in 2020, 2021. So, obviously there's no malice between the band and Shawn Ryder, but I believe he has sobered up in these past couple years, but it was very, very bad at one point, and obviously there's a video showing that, and that is memeing on him. That will be in the description. Bonesy. Bonesy, similar to Hello Kinky, is another reoccurring brand, you can say, in the Gorillaz universe. Its most prominent feature comes at the G-side album cover, where you can actually see Bonesy being held by Noodle in the American release. It is different in the Japanese release. She is actually holding Godzilla. He would make several appearances throughout the rest of the Gorillaz discography, being seen mainly as a sticker with just a floating skeletal head, and wouldn't make any notable appearances until being labeled as the kind of icon for Gorillaz' production during the Song Machine releases. At the end of the music videos for each one of those songs, you can actually see Bonesy doing a little walking animation and saying Gorillaz Productions underneath. So, he has made appearances and he still is around. He's kind of a secondary mascot per se for Gorillaz, following the actual band itself. Gorillaz NFTs. Gorillaz NFTs refers to a controversial decision made by Enemy, the main record label behind Gorillaz, that they announced that they were going to be releasing NFTs on Gorillaz. Now, we have actually never known what these NFTs were going to look like, if they were even going to be the members or characters designed in the shape of Gorillaz style. We don't know. But what we do know is there was a huge outcry from fans, as well as Damon Albarn himself kind of keying us in that maybe he wasn't in on it. Now, there has never been a word from Jamie Hewlett on the situation, so we don't know if he was involved in the creation of these, and I'm not going to spread rumors, so I'm not going to even bring up that side, but definitely go ahead and read a few articles. I will leave the main one that talks about this in the description. I keep saying in the description, if I say bring something up, It's probably going to be in the description. Just keep a lookout. I've said it too much. Song transitions. Song transitions is exactly what it sounds like. When you're listening to one song, it transitions seamlessly into another, and it sounds fantastic. Gorillaz actually has done this a few times on their albums, first actually beginning in Plastic Beach. A lot of people have actually said that Dirty Harry goes into Feel Good Inc., but I went ahead and I listened to their entire discography. I don't really hear it a fully smooth transition. If you want to start hearing some transitions, go ahead and start with Plastic Beach. You can see the list on screen right now. They've actually stopped since the release of Humans, and going into the Now they have not had any song transitions. I do not know why this is, because I definitely feel like they add a sense of completeness to an album. If you have an album just full of songs that don't have any kind of connection, it kind of just makes it feel all wiki wonky. So definitely go ahead and listen to those albums, specifically on Spotify, Apple Tunes, or iTunes. I said Apple Music or iTunes. You will absolutely hear the song transitions and hear how beautiful they are. 2Doc. 2Doc is, if you're anything like me and have been on the internet for a while, is taking the names of 2D and Murdoch and merging it together. It's a ship. It's them kithing. They kiss. They do a lot more than kiss, but YouTube won't be happy if I say what they exactly do. So, I'm gonna stick the do not research tag on it, and that's all I'm probably gonna show for the image. At the time of recording this, I don't feel like really looking that up, but I'm probably gonna end up looking it up and scarring myself even more than I already am. Thank you, internet. But yeah, that's all it is. It's taking Murdoch and taking 2D, and they kiss. Have fun with that knowledge, sickos. 2 cups of orange juice. 2 cups of orange juice goes back to another kind of Gorillaz interview segment where 2D was describing a story and just happened to say that he was holding 2 cups of orange juice in my hands. It's obviously hilarious, and props to the 2 voice actors and mocap artists of 2D and Murdoch. They are absolutely fantastic, and they just improvise so much. I feel like it's definitely worth a watch. I'll leave the you can go ahead and watch the full interview that this is from in the description. Awesome, great time, 100% would recommend just sitting there and laughing, as well as getting a little bit of tidbit on the band. Cyborg Noodle. Cyborg Noodle became the temporary band member during Phase 3 in Plastic Beach. She was actually built to replace Noodle after Noodle disappeared in the El Mañana incident, and became Murdoch's personal bodyguard during the entirety of Phase 3. She can be seen in most of the music videos, including on Melancholy Hill, Stylo, and the Rhinestone Eyes unfinished music video, as obviously a just really intimidating version of Noodle. Now she was made with the assumption that Noodle was dead, so she had no clue that Noodle was actually alive, and in the Rhinestone Eyes music video you can actually see her start to short circuit. Now there's many different accounts of what actually happened to her, but what most people actually assume is in the Saturnz Barz music video they can hear a robotic kind of sound coming from a moving trash bag outside of the Saturnz Barz house, and that is where she is assumed to be, though there is several explanations of what happened to her after the Plastic Beach kind of attack. The Fall was made on the road. The Fall was made on the road refers to the album The Fall, released after Plastic Beach, and refers to when it was made. It was not made in the typical studio. It was made by Damon Albarn, as well as a few features, including Bobby Womack, during the Escape to Plastic Beach tour in the 2010s. It is a fantastic album, and definitely one of the, if not the most underrated Gorillaz album. It is 100% my favorite album when it comes to just the pure joy I get from listening to it. It has a few dud tracks here and there, such as the Speaking Mountains and Aspirin Forest. Some of them aren't my favorite, but definitely if you just love great electronic kind of sounding music with some melodic vocals here and there, 100% go ahead and listen to it. It is 100% worth your time. But obviously, as the entry says, it was made on the road, and each of the album's songs' names refers to the place it was made, such as Snake in Dallas refers to Dallas, Texas, Amarillo, Texas, Detroit, and Phoenix, Arizona in Arizona. Holograms at live shows during Phase 2. This refers to 2 instances that I was able to find where holograms were actually used to portray the actual band. First was during the Brits Celebration Awards, where the Clint Eastwood was performed with the band members on stage, and the second time was during the MTV's European Awards, where the Feel Good Inc. was performed by the virtual band. It is unknown why the band actually stopped doing this, and it's actually super cool to go watch. They looked fantastic for being in the 2005 to 2007 range, so absolutely great live performances. I wish they would do this nowadays. As somebody who recently saw them live, 100% should bring these back, especially with how technology has evolved. I think the band members would look fantastic. Phases. Now, I don't know why this wasn't on layer 1, seeing as I've basically said it about 500 times at this point. But Phases refers to the kind of album that is associated with a set in Gorillaz' timeline. Now, Phase 1 is the Gorillaz release, Phase 2 being Demon Days, Phase 3 being Plastic Beach, and so on and so forth, until we get up to, I believe, Phase 7 now with the release of Cracker Island. It might be, yeah, it's Phase 7. So, let me not get that wrong. But that's all it is. It simply refers to that, and so anytime you hear me say Phase 1, I'm talking about the kind of 2001 to 2004 range. When I say Phase 2, I'm talking about 2005 to 2008. Phase 3, I'm referring to 2009 to about 2011, and so on and so forth. So, that's all that is. Reject False Icons. Reject False Icons was the kind of slogan for Gorillaz when they first started making music back in 2001. The whole idea behind it is you're supposed to reject the falseness and not look up to the celebrities that make themselves known. That's the whole point. You're supposed to reject those false icons. This became a huge tagline and all culminated in the Rocket music video released in 2005, which actually fully embraced it. Now, there was a whole campaign that was run with it, and the movie, the first Gorillaz movie, was actually supposed to be kind of based off it, as well as the first Gorillaz CD released, Celebrity Takedown, also kind of following that same moniker. Now, we wouldn't actually see the Reject False Icon name after 2007 much, but when we did, it was used to describe a documentary that was kind of in making of humans and going into the now. It was a very interesting documentary, absolutely worth the watch. I believe it is free on YouTube to go ahead and view. It is in 3 parts, first referring to the Gorillaz' time between Plastic Beach and Humans, the actual release of Humans, and then leading into the now, and that's where the documentary cuts off. Go ahead and watch it if you can find it, which again, I believe it's on YouTube to watch in full. So, yeah. Feel Good in Kids Bop. Here we go back with a short entry. This simply refers to the fact that Kids Bop released a Feel Good Inc. version, which is as good as every other Kids Bop version. It's terrible. There's not a good at all Kids Bop song cover. And as somebody who had to listen to this a few times growing up in elementary school, yeah, no, it's not fun. Not fun at all. Keep myself among or keep myself from harm. This refers to probably the most debated line in all of Gorillaz music. It is sung during Dirty Harry, and it simply has Tootie saying the line, "I need a gun to keep myself," and that's where it starts. Everyone 100% agrees that it's keep myself, but is it among or from harm? With the context of the gun, you want to think, oh, it's from harm. But with the context of the song, you might go among. It's been confirmed that it's among, and it's been sung as among for years now. So, the end of the debate, I guess, but people will still hear it however they can. And sometimes when I'm singing it, I'll go ahead and switch between the two just to confuse maybe people who are listening to me. And kind of pull a Michael Jackson Smooth Criminal situation with the "you've been hit by, you've been struck by." But it's just the longest running debate in probably Gorillaz' history. Demon Days Vinyl Shenanigans. Demon Days Vinyl Shenanigans refers to the release of the original Demon Days vinyl. Back in 2005, vinyls were kind of on the decline, and so Demon Days' vinyl was made in very limited quantities. Now, eventually, once they realized that vinyls weren't going to be such of a dead market as they kind of still aren't today. They are very much alive, and I still have a few vinyls that I listen to and purchase from my local Barnes and Noble. um, the original kind of releases of Demon Days have rather become rare and very sought after, as I actually own a newer print, so mine isn't worth a damn. Though that's all it refers to, is simply the fact of the release of the original kind of album was very, very, very well mishandled. And that ends phase 2. That ends layer 2. I'm kind of all doing this in one take due to how I have to edit the software, so a few mistakes might slip through, but definitely that ends layer 2. We will get into layer 3, which now gets into a lot more of the very specific stuff that even I, as somebody who's been watching and listening to the band for years now, still found very interesting, even if I knew what it actually was. But, as always, go ahead and get into phase 3. Layer 3. I might just keep calling it phases. We'll see. It's like a wizard's portal. It's like a wizard's portal is referring to an old IE9 or Internet Explorer 9 browser ad that Gorillaz had during the Phase 3 era. It had Murdoch leading you through Plastic Beach and the website that Gorillaz had up during the Phase 3 era. And as he's talking about it during the first couple times, he brings up the fact that it's magical, almost like it's like a wizard's portal. And the most infamous screenshot from this ad happens to be Murdoch saying it while sitting in a tanning bed. Yeah, because he needed one of those on Plastic Beach. Like, you couldn't get the sun, but whatever. But it's all around a pretty great ad, pretty funny actually. It is a hugely long video at almost 10 minutes, which is insane thinking about how quick advertisement has to be nowadays to appeal to our Zoomer minds, but that's really all. Of course, look down below for the video. Laka Come Home. Laka Come Home is a very interesting album release. It released in 2002, and instead of being a B-side track or new tracks in general, it is a full remix album not even released by Gorillaz technically. It was released by Space Monkeys, with Gorillaz as the main partner. Now, this album, like I said, is just full remixes of everything released off of Gorillaz' self-titled album. It's a very interesting release and has some good tracks such as Stickity Rub and Lil Dub Sheffin, but all in all, if you're not a huge lo-fi remix guy, you aren't gonna be a big fan of this album. I apologize. It's not for me, and I know it's not for a lot of fans, hence why it's kind of forgotten when talking about Gorillaz' albums and Gorillaz song releases. This album, apart from Lil Dub Sheffin, is not brought up too much. But, like I said, if you like lo-fi, kind of calm versions of Gorillaz songs that maybe you found a bit too extreme, such as Punk or Man Research Clapper, go right ahead and listen to this album. Lil Dub Sheffin. Lil Dub Sheffin is a singles release off of Laka Come Home. It's very interesting that this, of all ones, got a singles release, as it's a remix of M1A1. And on the singles release, we also got another bonus track called the Space Monkeys theme, which technically is counted as a B-side, as what I would like to call it, or C-side, if you will, with Gorillaz fans and the obsessions with C-sides. It's all in all kind of weird and crazy that a song off of a remix album got a single release, but I'm not one to judge. This is definitely the best one off of the entirety of the album, and well worth listening to compared to most of the album. If you like this one, it's a little more upbeat and vibrant compared to what you'll find on Laka Come Home. G and D sides. Instead of releasing a album, releasing it as a B-side album, or the self-titled, or the name with B-sides at the end of it, Gorillaz, for the first two album releases of Demon Days and Gorillaz self-titled, actually decided instead to go with a naming convention where the first letter of the album would merit the name of the track or the B-side album release. For Gorillaz self-titled, it was G-sides. For Demon Days, it was D-sides. These obviously just being, like I said, B-side albums, just solely playing B-side tracks. Now, there was a couple of remixes released on the bass version, such as the Wise Guy House, as well as the Soul Child remix in 2000 off of the G-side album, as well as a Dare and Hong Kong remix released on D-side's bass version. But for the most part, you would only get B-side tracks. In Demon Days' case, in D-side's case, you would actually get a premium version, which had a bunch more remixes. Some very interesting, such as a Dare Hong Kong version, which was a treat to my ears when I listened to it. It was very cool, the naming convention. I really wish they would go back to it, and fans have even brought it back with the hope of a C-side release, referring to the Plastic Beach era, and that kind of whole being the theme and all that stuff. C-side will probably actually be a bonus track at the end of the next video, so keep an eye out for that. Demon Days Live and Demon Days. Here's the first entry I'm gonna combine, just cause they're both with Demon Days, and I don't feel like giving you guys two different entries for names that are basically the same thing. Demon Days Live is a film, quote unquote, released of Demon Days, the album, being played live. It was actually played at the Manchester Opera House and, as mentioned, played as a full album. It's very interesting to hear, as it's actually up on Spotify, iTunes, and Apple Music as an entire kind of album. So if you want to listen to some live recordings of Gorillaz songs, there you go, be my guest. Demon Days Live, on the other hand, was a actual festival that was held where Gorillaz would play their music. It was completely Gorillaz themed, which is something that we don't get too much nowadays. And it lasted in Phase 4 and disappeared once COVID began, and we've yet to see it come back in we have gotten no announcements for 2024, so we do not know if it will actually be returning for 2024 or any of the foreseeable future. It definitely was cool to see a whole kind of Gorillaz themed, show, and not them being appearances at just random venues or at Coachella, where they're obviously not going to be the star of the show. I would hope for this to come back, as I would absolutely get my tickets and get my ass down to go see it. The Fall. The Fall is another kind of album release that I'm wondering why it's so low, as actually a tidbit from it was mentioned on the previous layer, but the actual album is down here in the third. The Fall was an album comprising of tracks solely made by Damon Albarn, with a few help from people like Bobby Womack and Anna Combs and a few bodyguards here and there, but mostly Damon Albarn, using a soundboard app on his iPad at the time during the Escape to Plastic Beach tour that was going on in 2010. It is fully, in my opinion, the most underrated Gorillaz album. I would honestly put it third place behind Plastic Beach and behind Demon Days as the best Gorillaz album. I genuinely think it is that good. It's very electronic and very techno, which is obviously something Gorillaz had experimented with before, but not in a capacity kind of seen on The Fall. And I definitely think its tracks kind of shine through where certain tracks on other albums, such as The Fall or Gorillaz self-titled, kind of don't. I don't think there's many misses on this album compared to those albums as well. So definitely go listen to this album. It is a treat for everyone to hear, and it is one of those pure albums where if somebody says, I like this, I like electronic music, go listen to The Fall, please. The Winnebago. The Winnebago, I would like to call a character, but isn't really a character, is talking about Murdoch's Nichols' Winnebago that was kind of seen through the first couple phases of Gorillaz, as where he lived at in Kong Studios. Despite him living in the building, he would actually be sleeping in his Winnebago. We actually most prominently saw this in the early phases during the MTV Cribs, where Murdoch actually let you inside of his Winnebago, and you can actually see it's a pretty nice kind of, living quarters. It does get a bit weird in there, but that's obviously to come with Murdoch and his just pure existence. we'd actually see it more prominently, specifically in a music video during the Song Machine era with the video for Strange Times, the so-called self-titled song from the album. It's very interesting to see it fly in space, but whatever. In the Kong Studios website during the Song Machine era, you could also go in ahead and interact with it. Same during the not the Plastic Beach, but the Demon Days, and the Phase 1 websites as well also featured the Winnebago. So, it's a recurring kind of secondary item in the Gorillaz lore. I don't know exactly what to refer to it as, but it's definitely a place. A place. Damon has an erection during Charger Live. This is the first entry where I'm gonna call it. I don't really see what this entry is talking about. The actual Iceberg links back to a video of Damon Albarn performing Chargers live, obviously. But very interestingly, I couldn't see it, and trust me, as a gay man, I should be able to spot something like that. But I wasn't able to. If you can see it, you got keen eyes, madam or ma'am. Madam or sir, but I'm not gonna keep looking for that. I'm just have fun yourself, okay? Obviously it's gonna be below the actual video. 5 Whales in a Dream. A lot of song entries on this layer. 5 Whales in a Dream refers to a track that was released on the Gorillaz Humans Super Deluxe box set version of Humans that released in 2016. It's a huge thing that went for about $400 back when it was initially released, going for almost, I believe, $1,000 nowadays if you really want the entire thing. With this, you got a whole kind of different here of Humans. Instead of it being the one that we got for the deluxe and the standard version, we got a whole different one where it actually incorporated songs from the deluxe edition into the main album. So having songs like Ticket Tape then transition into other songs. I believe it was Let Me Out and Ticket Tape transitioned into one, which was a song transition I missed, but I wasn't really talking about the super deluxe edition of Humans. I was talking about the bass version of Humans. That's why it wasn't mentioned. But it's got some more additional tracks that have never been officially released on any streaming services, including YouTube. It's never been officially dropped on the YouTube channel of Gorillaz, only as fan uploads, mainly by one channel, which will be in the description, and it'll have all the songs that you want to hear. But 5 Whales in Dream is just one of those many songs, and it's kind of one of the more obscure songs from this album. It's alright, like most of the songs. I definitely think they are more demos than they actually were planned to be songs on the main album ever. That's definitely what it seems like, and I'm definitely going to say I wouldn't recommend these. As much as I want to, I wouldn't recommend these. Go ahead and give them a listen, but you guys form your own opinions. I'm not really going to be one to tell you guys how to feel about these songs that I just think are mediocre at best. Trans is trance, not trans. This is talking about the song that was released and the second song on the Now Now, and the second single that was released, called Tranz, or Z. You read that and you're like, oh, trans, as in transit, I think is what a lot of people assume. But no, it's been said multiple times that the actual name is trance, talking about falling into a trance, or the hypnotic feeling of a trance. And definitely if you listen to the lyrics and watch the music video, that makes a lot more sense than trans. A lot of people still say trans or trans, but it's pronounced trance, and that's why I think I said it maybe once before in this Iceberg, trance. So that's what I was referring to. I'm referring to the second song released on the Now Now's album and the second single. Music for fucking 12-year-olds. This is talking about an interview with Noel Gallagher, who was a member of Oasis during this interview, giving his opinion on Gorillaz and their music. And, well, he just said it's music for fucking 12-year-olds. Which talks mainly about the whole feud that Blur and Oasis had at the time for kind of Britain's love, if you want to say it like that. It's a whole big thing, and definitely interesting to watch all of it unfold. Now, Noel Gallagher would somehow technically retract that statement, as he would later appear on We Got the Power from Humans as the last song on the standard edition and the last song before the transition into New World on the deluxe edition. I don't know where this kind of beef got squandered in the years after he said that, but it's definitely a funny video, even though the video itself is very quiet and very hard to hear. So go ahead, watch it, and get a good chuckle at this kind of just pickiness. Gorillaz originally was made to make fun of MTV and modern music. Pretty substandard entry if you know much about Gorillaz in their early days. With the whole celebrity takedown and the reject false icons, Gorillaz at the time was made to kind of woo modern music and MTV are bad, before their videos would go ahead and win awards on MTV award shows. It's all just silly, kind of thinking about it now, especially seeing where Gorillaz are nowadays with albums like Humans and Cracker Island kind of being filled with celebrities that would be considered really popular, such as Bad Bunny. It's all very funny to me, and kind of seeing where Gorillaz has been taken over the years is awesome to watch, or I guess if you're an original Gorillaz fan, kind of sad. Rock the House music video references The Shining. Another rather basic entry, just simply watching the Rock the House music video is filled with a bunch of references to The Shining. It starts off getting this deep, mysterious, exterior look before zooming into the window where you're able to see a pair of twins referencing the Grady girls from The Shining. It would then transition over to Noodle riding a tricycle through the hallways of Kong Studios, and this was a reference to little Danny Torrance riding his tricycle through the halls of the Overlook Hotel in The Shining. Very surface level stuff that most people should know if they even just know a little bit about horror and a little bit about Gorillaz. Hannibal. Hannibal is a more mysterious character in Gorillaz' lore. It's Murdoch's older brother that he doesn't really bring up too much, though the most important thing he has done for the Gorillaz' lore, apart from, be related to Murdoch, is actually break his nose for the second time, hence why it's got more of a disfigured shape than a normal nose break. He's reportedly locked up by Murdoch, as the last time we've heard of him was him talking about him being locked up in prison. But apart from that, we don't know much about Hannibal, and much of the Nichols family for that matter. The El Mañana incident. The El Mañana incident refers to the music video for El Mañana released back in 2005. The floating house that most people know from the Feel Good Inc. music video is demolished. It's shot down by a pair of helicopters that, for the most part, actually don't know who owns those helicopters or who called them onto the floating house. A lot of people, when the original video came out, theorized that it was the big corporations or De La Soul who was featured in the Feel Good music video, trying to destroy that pride and joy, that lusciousness that was obviously not their goal with having the huge skyscraper of the incorporation. It's very interesting, and in Gorillaz lore, we actually might have confirmed that Murdoch was the one who called the El Mañana incident, but actually planned for Noodle to escape and live. But for the longest time, it was believed Noodle had died. Though going back and watching the music video, you can actually see a parachute kind of going down next to the island in a long shot, confirming Noodle is alive, and we would get our 100% confirmation on the on Melancholy Hill music video, where obviously Noodle was shown to be alive. So that's what it talks about. Go ahead and watch the El Mañana music video. Obviously, the song itself is beautiful, and the visuals for this song absolutely add to a grainy vibe that definitely was the goal for the entirety of Demon Days. Escape to Plastic Beach Tour. The Escape to Plastic Beach tour was the biggest tour Gorillaz has ever done. Obviously, to promote the release of Plastic Beach, they went on a huge United States tour, their biggest to date, I believe, where they played all the Plastic Beach songs. It was awesome to watch, and definitely find the recordings of these, because they are worth it. There was actually a side video as well with the actual virtual band. This was the first time that the live actual performance crew was seen. There was no hidden behind the holograms or hidden behind kind of shadows like we had seen for a lot of their early work and going into Demon Days. We would actually see the full live band, but in universe they are a cover band, a fake band. In the actual universe, Gorillaz is 2D, Murdoch and Cyborg Noodle are locked up inside a single little room backstage. And they are stuck there for the entirety of one of the shows, listening to the Gorillaz go wild and the fans go wild for the fakers. It's awesome to watch and definitely really well animated for 2010. So go ahead, listen to the live recordings of these and watch the short animations, worth your while. Boiler Room Tokyo. Boiler Room is just a place that Gorillaz played a live show. There's not much to this entry that I could really find specifically about Gorillaz. The only thing that I can maybe think of is a reference in The Sounder, a song off of G-Sides, where Phil Life Cypher brings up a dome in Tokyo, but I think that's much of a stretch, as the dome in Tokyo and the Boiler Room in Tokyo are two kind of different buildings. I just thought maybe it was something, a little bit of a connection, but the Boiler Room in Tokyo is a place where Gorillaz played a live show. Best Bits. Best Bits were a select couple of videos that were released during the Song Machine era, wrapping up after all the music videos had been released about each one of the characters, Tootie, Russell, Murdoch, and Noodle, just showing them in the different music videos doing the stuff that they were doing in those music videos. Not much to it. Each one is only about 1 minute to 1 minute 30, with Tootie and Murdoch having the longest, and I believe Russell having the shortest. Just showing off the characters and showing off the very good 2D animation that we would actually see for the entirety of the Song Machine music video releases. Awesome to watch, so I guess if you want to go watch the best bits, go right ahead. They're all on YouTube. Otherwise, just go watch the music videos. I'd say it gets a better idea of what these characters do, as these do leave out a couple of bits from the music videos. Valley of Pagans video shot in GTA 5. The original video for Valley of the Pagans, a song off of Song Machine Season 1, was actually shot in the GTA engine with a card, the free card that was released, actually being the card that they drove through the entire thing. Now, it would actually be reported that they would get a copyright strike for the video showing off GTA footage, presumably without GTA or Rocksteady's permission. But, again, the interesting thing about that is I don't know why, as Feel Good Inc. is actually a song on the GTA 5 soundtrack. So Gorillaz and Rockstar had collaborated before, not like this was just a random thing that they did and stole the footage. No. So the original video was taken down and it was replaced instead with them riding through a kind of psychedelic highway, kind of, I believe, in a reference to 192000. I actually think it is supposed to be the highway from 192000. Very interesting controversy, kind of, with Beck no longer being on the GTA 5 phone like he was, and instead just being replaced with a little screen in the corner. All very interesting. You can find the original on YouTube, but it's not on the official Gorillaz YouTube channel anymore. Hallelujah Money controversy / Benjamin Clementine hate. This refers to Humans, as the most political Gorillaz album obviously had political songs, and Hallelujah Money was the peak of that. It's an amazing song and an amazing ballad by Benjamin Clementine, obviously, but it is talking a lot about the political nature of the 2016 world that we lived in America. Obviously, foreigners like Gorillaz actually weren't too much involved in that. But Hallelujah Money being so prominent, with even the interlude before it being the elephant, referring to out of the elephant's trunk there was confetti, referring to the Republican Party's win during the 2016 election and Donald Trump's election, led a lot of people to kind of go after Benjamin Clementine, as he was the main vocal lead on that song.
Ever since then, Benjamin Clementine has openly been against Gorillaz and actively hated them since he took most of the flack. Now, obviously, that's a whole thing, and I'm not going to do anything but say Clementine has entitled to his own opinion on why he dislikes a band that kind of seemed like it betrayed him when he needed him, and he was taking a lot of flack for a song that was on their releases. He has openly actually gone and said a few things about Gorillaz in a few tweets, which, like I said, he's entitled to his own opinion. I'm not going to say, oh, he's the villain because he said this. So definitely go ahead and read some of the tweets that he's put out and read a few articles about his hate. I definitely don't think he deserved it, not whatsoever. I definitely think it was just the few that were kind of upset about Gorillaz, maybe a British band, not kind of wanting to deal with politics since it's not in their nature or in their kind of country. Demon Day's original name. Demon Day's original name is talking about the original name of Demon Days, as it wasn't always going to be Demon Days. Instead, it's going to be called We Are Happy Landfill. A very interesting and honestly, I think, really cool name for an album, especially since that kind of goes for the whole vibe of pollution and kind of toxicity in society and all that stuff. The song, the actual name of it, would later be a song on D-Sides, which I would assume had a different name before being switched to a D-Sides track. But it's a really good, I listened to the actual song itself on D-Sides, so go ahead and listen to it. It's definitely worth your time. And there we go. That is lane number 3, and that ends this part of the video. Absolutely go ahead and thank you guys so much for watching it. If you made it this far, this is 50 something minutes of my time that I have put towards this video, and I really would appreciate it. If you guys could like, you don't need to subscribe as these are not the kind of videos I will make, but do keep an eye out on part 2, check back, maybe click on my channel, and definitely go ahead and see. At the time of recording this, I currently plan to do the next kind of parts, doing layers number 4, 5, and 6, as well as trying my best to get bonus entries talking about stuff that weren't mentioned on the actual Iceberg, such as the Free the Seas campaign and a couple of the lost songs that will be mentioned later, that aren't mentioned later, I should say. But again, thank you guys so much for your time. If you do, obviously, like I said, like this video, like it, like I said, don't have to subscribe. If you do, go right ahead, check out some of the other stuff on my channel. It's going to be a lot of gameplay footage, and this has taken up a lot of my time, so I have a bit of an archive right now. I'll be trying to post a little bit more now that I got this first part done, see how it does, and maybe post the part 2. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.